like putting under Nagyito.
Zoom. I don't know, Zoom. We zoom on.
Okay.
Just one piece of it in a certain moment, but actually they are all of them there. So it seems to me that if we are walking in the forest and we are imitating a form of a tree or thinking about how it moves the wind and so on, we already kind of embodied that movement. And if we cognitively think about how we feel, then we already somehow combined these things, and maybe not consciously working on it. Like sometimes with Outward Bound programs, we use a lot of body movement and body work, but we don't call it embodied learning. And I know that in Waldorf pedagogy they use it also, and for remembering things much better and memorizing things. But I am not aware that they are calling us it embodied learning. And land art and all these things what we do in the nature is also a kind of a combination of these three. But depending on what we emphasize more, that is what we are talking about. But actually all of them work somehow, I think, on our soul and on our way of being, just not always taking out from the big picture somehow. That's my feeling about this, but maybe it's not true. I don't know.
It's your feeling. It's true. Yes, I also agree that each of these three approaches cannot, I don't know if that was what you were saying, but each of these three approaches cannot survive by itself. They always, I don't know, when you're in nature, you're not, when you're building a shed or when you're, I don't know, you have to be creative, you have to invent, you have to be in a way artistic. When you're painting, you sometimes get inspired by nature to paint, and you sometimes get inspired by nature to express your emotions, your feelings. So I think even though you're specialized in some area, it's difficult to be focused in only one thing. That's my thought too.
Yes, I think body is there all the time because we live in our body. So
Yeah.
at least two of the three is always present, and then we can add the third one. But I think as a psychologist, also when we try to help certain group of people or one person, it's not the method that we want to adjust to the person, but we want to help him. So we want to maybe make a combination of methods or find the appropriate method for the person. So it's always better to have the tools of different approaches, and then you can apply what is necessary in the given situation, what is more familiar or attractive to the group that you are working with. So I think combination can always bring new layers and attract more people than if you are just focusing on one direction.
I think one of the questions could be, is it necessary, if we are combining three methodologies, is it necessary to have three facilitators?
I was thinking about when Agi was talking also that if you combine three different things, then it's very difficult to be expert on all three things. and to feel very confident that you know what is going to happen and what how it's going to work and so on. So maybe there is this process in lot of fields, like also in psychology, that you label a certain thing and you know what it is, and then you can become easier an expert because you can dig in that direction. But if you want to combine multiple areas or multiple methods, it's very difficult to be very good expert on all of them. Of course, you can combine, but then the level will be more superficial somehow. So you are afraid to go very deep. And it was often our discussion in this project that if you are using kind of therapeutic activities, like art therapy could be a good example. Are you skilled enough to really go deep, or you just have to be on a certain level in order to not harm a person or not feel like you are not able to help or not qualified to help? So it's really I think it's a matter of how deep you are going and how you work with that element.
So, imagining that we want to go deep in all three approaches, your thought is that you need three different specialists. Yeah.
Yes. I just would bring in another perspective. Maybe it's, yeah, while you were talking about these topics, and I was thinking of art, nature, and body, and how they are combined. I just remembered a very good feeling of mine. Actually, it was a training of ours, and it was a movement-based training set in the nature, in the middle of the forest. Just let imagine it that the scene was really in the middle of the forest, and we were doing all the activities there. And I just remember that feeling that it's very good to do these activities in a hall, in a city somewhere, but it was really a totally different experience, just I can still remember this feeling that, I just open my eyes and the forest is there everywhere and the music is on and we are just moving and connecting and things like that. And I really can say that it really had an added value, do this in the middle of the forest and combine. Actually, I think it was the combination of the three of them, like the three methods, like nature was there, we used our body, we were also focusing on it. I was just thinking that, okay, could I name it or could I call it as art or not, or dancing, from which point is it art or is it not art? If I do it on my own, is it art still or is it not? So I would be a bit hesitated in it, but I would say that this kind of approach and these activities were a combination of the three of them, and it really had an added value for me, at least. Yeah, I just wanted to share this.
Yeah, well, it also came to my mind that there were some researches comparing the efficiency of different psychotherapeutic methods, and the result was basically they are more or less efficient on the same level. So it seems that whatever you do, it doesn't really make a big difference. What makes the difference is really the relationship between the therapist and the client, or the trainer and the participant. So the relationship, through the relationship we can make a change. And I think, yes, if you really want to go deep in a method, like you want to teach it, you need specialists. But if you just want to how I say, enrich a little bit the tools you are using, I think in the tools you don't necessarily have to be such a specialist, but you need to have knowledge, severe knowledge is how to deal with the relationship, how to deal with emotions, how to facilitate a group and the things like that. But these are more or less common in the different approaches. So I think there is a possibility to transfer without doing harm necessarily.
I understand what you mean. But from my knowledge, for instance, some artists are not prepared to teach or facilitate anything. So we are talking about the topics are very wide: art, body, nature, right? But I think maybe, I don't know if what I'm saying is useful, but an artist not always can facilitate something like this. A hunter cannot. He's in the nature,
Yeah.
you know. And so I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I
So,
was thinking about like a service that you provide, or a training or a therapy. But if you are just doing for your own, you
yes.
hunt and then you paint what you hunted, or I think that's
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah,
better.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
May I?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. For me, I really like connection, and I also really love to connect different kinds of methods, because for me, sometimes this is more rounded, more whole. Because when we just concentrate, for example, on art, and we have a diverse group, probably there are some people who doesn't feel so comfortable with art. But when we also focus, for example, on the embodiment aspect, probably this person feels more comfortable in this aspect, so we can reach even more people. And then other people feel probably more connected to nature. And when we combine this and we have a diverse group, probably we can even nourish more different needs on different levels. So I think a combination could be really I forgot the word. Could be very helpful and, yeah, great for the entire experience. And well, I think that we human beings, when we just do, we are already ourselves so diverse and we have so many different needs. And when we just nourish one side of it, you get out of balance. So when you have to see the entire, or I prefer to see the rounded thing, and to nourish all the different levels instead of just doing one thing. And probably in our societies nowadays, this is still a bit challenging, because yes, we have the specializations, and in our mind it's imprinted that yes, you do just this and all the other things. But if we would combine these things, I think in some aspects we would be much more successful. And probably even more happier. Yes.
Thank you, Judith. I really can connect
Thank you.
what was he saying, because I was searching how to say these things, this holistic. It was really nice that you named it. And I was thinking about this, what it means, resilience, and how we do this, and what we need to be resilient. And somehow I found that we really, to be resilient, for me it means I really have to be aware what's going on inside me and what's going on around me, and how am I connected with all these things that inside and what is outside. And for me, these different things to connect with nature, art experience, and body and embodiment can be separately supporting tools, but they somehow can strengthen each other somehow, because I think they each of them can have this. For example, if I'm in the nature, I experience that I really
sense the essence of my being. Somehow it helps me really easily to connect what is inside, deep inside me. And for example, sometimes when I'm experimenting with painting, I I I really like to go into the nature just before, to help myself to be in this kind of statement when I could express what is inside me. So I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, but so this, that we can use them separately, but if we can find a way like how we can combine them smoothly, this can be much more stronger effect on us, or something like this.
Thank you.
I was also thinking that sometimes it's difficult for an average person to get to some of these therapies or whatever activities, because if you want to do something connected with art, you have to go to this place. If you want to do something connected to nature, you have to go to this place. If you want to do something with an embodied experience, you have to go to the other place. And normally this means money. And this means that you have to pay for something. And that's one of the good things that I think we're doing here. We have a self-directed experience that you can at least have a glimpse of it and see what helps you the most, maybe combine them, the three, and see what helps you the most. And then you get to choose whatever interests you most, and then you can go to that place, or you can go to the other place, or you can afterwards choose. Or if you can, do all the three of them together and try to explore in a way.
Yeah, I was also thinking, is it something in our modern world that we need to go to a workshop to be in the nature? We need to go to an art class to get connected to art? It seems a bit crazy, because I think 100 years ago people were just walking in the forest without any workshop, and they were just singing if they felt like, or playing music together. So it's, I think, something we lost on our way, and now that's why we need to pay.
Yeah, totally. Because everything now has an extra value, that extra money value. And it shouldn't, in my opinion, of course.
I think it's also changed from the trusting yourself and trusting in the others, that you need to put, for example, you need a guide in order to learn how to do something, instead of trusting yourself that you go to the forest because you feel it, you know. No, you have to go there and to learn how to do it, because the connection is not there anymore. And I think it's also a shift of this being with yourself, trusting yourself. And nowadays it's very often that you give this to other people in order that you get this from them instead of yourself. I don't know if this is clear how I mean it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So combining the three is important.
Yes, we can conclude this.
Okay.
If I may add something, I actually combine all of the three, and I don't think I'm an expert in any of three. I think I'm an expert, if I have to call myself an expert, in facilitating learning, and that's the important piece. Then I can adapt the methodology that I'm using to what's the focus of the learning. I lost my train of thoughts, but I think what's beautiful about embodied learning specifically, but also combining all these approaches, is understanding that learning doesn't have to happen in this box or in a specific learning space, and understanding that any space, any environment can serve the purpose of learning. Because I feel often that when we create these educational projects and programs, there's very little relationship with real life. Okay, so like, you know, we leave this learning space, training room, and then like, oh, so I think it's really important that we move the learning from learning spaces, from the training rooms, and to understand what is the real life and the impact of the learning that we are trying to pass on. And with that, I want to add, it seems like it's really relevant maybe for this group. We work a lot, I work a lot with place-based education. So really understanding how can environment support our learning, whether that's nature or a city. So I do recommend kind of looking into that, because it's really creative, it really supports, it's really relevant for the people that you're working with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the name? Place learning? No, how was the name?
I'll put it in the chat. Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
And I also think that every one of us here is working to extinguish our own profession, our own, I mean, psychologists work so that people do not need psychologists. Environmental educators work so that people don't need environmental educators. I mean, taking what you were saying, Agi, people 200 years ago didn't need a workshop to be in nature, to learn how to sing. But nowadays, yeah, of course, it's needed. So let's hope that our jobs are not needed in 100 years from now. In a way,
Yeah, but then we will need to go and hunt.
yeah, maybe.
Or be vegetarian.
Sorry?
Or just be vegetarian.
Yeah, we could be vegetarian, not need to hunt, but we need to harvest everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add to the conversation? Do you want to move on to another topic?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on it?
Jump.
I just want to thank you all for your time and for having me and for your reflections. Find me on Facebook or something like that, and let's connect in that way. I have to go to the third room to be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
All
you
the
very much.
best.
Bye-bye.
We have a third question, don't we?
Yes, we do. So I'll end up this meeting.
Jump out and jump in.
Do you think we can do it in 10 minutes? No. So I'll change the chat room, okay? Okay.
Okay.
See you in a minute.